There are a lot of numbers that say no, but I'm saying yes on Keyonte George's future. Next on Locked on Jazz. Bum 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 bum.
You are Locked On Jazz, your daily podcast on the Utah Jazz. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
How are you? I'm David Locke, radio voice of the Utah Jazz, Jazz NBA insider. This is Locked on Jazz, your daily podcast on the Utah Jazz. Give you insight, expertise, geeky numbers, and hopefully making it way better to be a Jazz fan each and every day. Thank you so much for making Locked on Jazz your first listen of the day. We are free and available on all podcasting apps as well as on YouTube. Today, we're deep diving Keyonte George. And frankly, you can find the numbers to tell the story you want to tell. I'm going to try the best I can to present, in all honesty, where the numbers sit, why I'm still bullish on his future, and what I think that means he will be before it is all said and done. If I get to it, B-Ball Index released their all-defensive team, which I always think is interesting because I don't think we really know how to judge defensive players in the NBA. And we do it kind of on guess, and they try to do it off a metric. And so I thought it was actually unsurprising, but worth mentioning. So if I get to that, I will. All right, let's start on a bunch of areas with Key. So Keyonte George, in his first 2 years, on the simple, most straightforward statistics, he has played 142 games. He's played a ton, actually. He's playing 30 minutes a night. It's a huge amount of experience. It's one of the reasons why I'm most excited about it. And I'll get you that in a second. Each of the 2 years, he shot 39.1%. And he shot 33% from three and 34% from three. And those numbers are not good enough. And the disconcerting thing, and the reason why I say the numbers say no, but I'm saying yes, is that's not new. That's what he did at Baylor also. He shot 38% from three, or 38% overall, and 34% for three. For a guy whose shot looks terrific, his fundamentals look good, his footwork's not great, but his touch and the ball doesn't go in. It's what I said last year this time about Key. The ball just needs to go in. I keep looking at that free throw percentage, though. 83% career free throw percentage. Ball should go in. It's not like this is a player that doesn't have touch. Baylor shot 79%. So that's the first part, is the shooting percentage has not been good enough. Part two is the turnovers. 2.5 his rookie year, 2.7 his second year. It's a lot. He had the ball in his hands a lot. He was thrust into it. And if you go back to his college, he had 95 turnovers and 91 assists. He came to the pros with an assist to turnover ratio that was negative. Okay. The third thing that legitimately should have one concerned about Keyonte is his defense. If we go to dunks and threes, which grades a player, Keyonte, defensive estimated plus minus last year, was in the 0 percentile. That he was on the worst defensive team in the NBA, the worst defensive player, arguably making him the worst defensive player in all of the NBA. Let's be perfectly honest. If this doesn't straighten out, if he doesn't come, which I'm certain he will, to this season with a committed effort on the defensive end, then it's over. His career will end alarmingly fast. He will be the same as half the picks after the 11th player of the draft who get a good run because they're a first-round pick and then very quickly are out of the NBA. I can give you the list, wherever they are. This is a 2-year phenomenon. At the end of the 2024 season, Keyonte was 3rd percentile in all defense. Let me tell you why I think this is going to fix itself. 2, Keyonte is completely committed to being a great basketball player. This is not a lazy kid who's uninterested, who's totally selfish, who doesn't care about anybody but himself, who's just trying to put up points. I'm not going to say empty calorie turnovers because then I'm going to end up with a fight with Cam Thomas like Zach Loaded. This is not a kid who's uninterested in doing well. Okay? This is not a bad kid. In fact, the growth I saw out of him as a human in 2025 compared to 2024 was really impressive. And this is an effort issue and a maturity issue. And he's 21 years old. In November, he'll turn 22. And I think we'll begin to see the maturity and the commitment on the defensive end of the game. Will he be great? He's actually got all the skills to be perfectly fine. He's 6'4", 185 pounds and can handle. He's not lacking athleticism. So I'm not actually, I think he can be middle of the pack. If not better. Let's just go over 1 or 2 things. This is where he sits on B-Ball Index's player profiles. I love these stats. Because this will begin to give you a profile of where he is today. And then I'm going to show you where he ranks historically. And then we're going to look at where he's improved. Okay. So his perimeter shooting, despite the fact that he shot 34%, his overall gravity gets an A-. His shot creation, he gets an A+. And I think that's wildly important. That he can get his shot off whenever he wants off the bounce is a real impact. This is the number that I think we have to start to look at from B-Ball Index or the stat that begins to tell us why he has a chance to get better. His 3-point shot quality was an F. Now, is that a case of that Keyonte George was taking bad shots and needs to take better shot selection? Yes. Or the case that he wasn't playing with very good teammates, and so he got stuck with bad shots? Yes. But when you look at his ability to get a shot off, A+, his 3-point shooting talent, A-, his 3-point making, B-, and his 3-point shot quality, F, but his 3-point pull-up talent, A, that's a combination that can get a lot better. That's one of the things that has me super excited about Key. The basic natural skill of being able to get shots off is better than what you would expect out of than what most players can do. That is a big time step for Keyonte George. I was trying to find I prepped all sorts of stuff, and of course, halfway through, I wanted something else. But if you look at his catch and shoot versus off the bounce 3 over the last 2 years, he's one of the better off the bounce 3-point shooters 2 years ago. And as a rookie, he was above average. And then this last year, it slipped a little bit, but I think it slipped because he didn't get as good of looks. And he frankly Keyonte shot 32.6% on off the bounce threes, taking 4 a game though. The year prior, Keyonte shot on off the bounce threes as a rookie 34.5. That's pretty good. So if he gets back to that number, he's in business. Okay, let's look at a few other things. I'm not really worried about him as a rebounder. He's not particularly good. Finishing, rim shot creation, A-. Drive foul draw rate, A-. Rim field goal percentage, D+. Okay, we're starting to get into something here. Rim shot making efficiency, B-. Rim shot quality, F. Finishing talent, B-. That's why I love B-Ball Index and the way that they break these tools down. We're going to get into what his shot distribution is per game here in a little bit. and it's problematic. And this is going to be one of the keys. So the first key we just talked about for Key to get going and to get better at these numbers is the fact that his three-point shooting ability to get the shot off is great. His shot quality is terrible. It might be teammates, might be where he's been playing with. The other thing is that his rim field goal percentage is bad and his rim shot quality is bad. These are the things that improve. If you look at his efficiency, his overall shot quality, and we're going to get into this more, called B all index. We're going to break this down in the third segment probably, is an F. So here's a young player that played 30 minutes a night, was thrust into action, and had terrible efficiency. 39% from the field, 34% from three, below 40, below 35. We'll touch on that in a second. His true shooting percentage is a D+. His effective field goal percentage is a D. His points per possession's a D-. You can dive into all those stats and say no chance that this former 16th pick of the NBA draft is turning the corner. But when we start to dive into what we started to dive into right there, I think you see the route for Keyonte George to get out of this and to get better. More on Key as we continue on Locked On Jazz. Tuesday edition of Locked On Jazz is brought to you by Murdoch Hunting. So recently I have had a bunch of Locked On Jazz listeners email me and get set up, and I want to share. I just got this email. I hope Neil doesn't mind. Neil sent me an email. He said, I want to follow up my experience at Murdoch Hunting. My 21-year-old son needed a vehicle. Doesn't have a ton of money. Out of curiosity, I went to Murdoch website, looked at it, saw one that looked interesting. So I texted Jake, who is our personal loan, Jacob Banks is our Murdoch Linden VIP sales guy for you. And said, hey, text me, tell me about this one. Half an hour later, I had a personalized 360 video from Jake showing me the positive and negatives of the car. And my son and I went to check it out later today. My son liked it. We had other obligations, couldn't stick around. We gave Jake one signature for the finance application and left. We went back the next day to finalize the purchase. We literally only at the dealer for about 30 minutes total before my son was driving home in his new car. Super simple, great deal on an older car. We didn't have to spend a lot of time with the dealer waiting on paperwork. We knew Jake would tell us if it wasn't a great deal because he'd been upfront with me about previous vehicles, and I'd asked him about. Super impressed, super easy to get a hold of Jake, and he was super responsive. And the finance guy told my son his warranty options and stuff. There was no pressure. All around, great experience. This is what we're making sure happens for you as a lockdown listener with Murdoch Hyundai. He said also, so that, by the way, is what we want to make sure the other stuff was. Neil said nice things about me. I appreciate it. So this is what we're doing for you. If you're looking for a car, put Hyundai on the list. Check it out. You decide at the end. We'll set you up with a VIP meeting at Murdoch Linden, Murdoch Hyundai Murray, or up in Logan, and make sure. So Linden, Murray, and Logan, and we'll make sure that you get the VIP experience from your locked on salesperson, give you that experience, that type of touch point, and see what's like. Over at Murdoch Hyundai, email me at dlock09@gmail.com. That's dlock09@gmail.com to make sure that we get you your VIP experience that you deserve by being a locked on everydayer at Murdoch Hyundai. Today's show is also brought to you by FanDuel. What's going on with FanDuel? Well, it's summer fun right now for you, and there's all sorts of deals. Here's the biggest one. If you're a new customer, you can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. That's just at FanDuel.com. Now, what are you doing this time of year? Well, baseball under the lights, golf on the greens, high-stakes soccer actions, Euro Cup basketballs around the corner. You've already following the action. Why not make it a little more thrilling with FanDuel? Get into the game, and while your friends are getting sunburned at the beach. WNBA action heats back up after All-Star Weekend. You can use FanDuel to track your favorite matchups, app, keep it fresh, new daily promotions, and fun ways to bet. It's easy to use, faster payouts. Even regular season games feel like must-watch events. Leaf Tulane will be playing around betting tennis. You can do that too. New customers, FanDuel can bet $5, get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. Open the FanDuel app today or visit FanDuel.com to get started at FanDuel.com. Thanks so much for making Locked On Jazz your first listen of the day. All right, let's look at a few other things on Key. If you look at Key and you look at players statistically where he is historically, we'll get back to the other stuff. Look at any guard whose shooting percentage is below 40% and three-point shooting is below 35%. And he's played at least 100 games. Okay? And you start to look at it, it doesn't look great. The guys who ended up, Marcus Smart, Jamal Tinsley, Campazzo, who played briefly for Denver, Raymond Felton, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, and then it falls off hard and fast. Langston Galloway, Amon Shumpert, Fred Jones, Trey Burke, Andrew Harrison, Jared Bayless, John Salmons, Jamie Brenner, Sasha Vucevic, DeAnthony Melton, Cole Anthony, AJ Price, J.R. Smith, actually had a career, Juan Dixon, Dwyer, some Markel Brown, Terry Rozier had a career, Malcolm Delaney, Dante Exum, Tyler Dorsey, Alexi Shved, Miles McBride, Nick Stauskas, Paul Pressey, Daniel Ewing, Jordan Hawkins. Then you get to Key. Key's like the next one on the list here of like players of that stage. Jordan Poole. This is not a great Malik Monk, Jalen Suggs. Those are guys who've made it. There's a lot of names in here. There's 58 of them. Emmanuel Mudiay, Frank Ntilikina, Bobby Brown, Rashard Vaughn, Junior Harrison, Deshaun Stevenson. It's not great. But Key has shot 11 threes per 100 possessions. And the only guys on this list who've done that are Malik Monk, Jordan Hawkins, Jordan Poole, and Keyonte George and Trey Mann. So suddenly it changed a little bit. And if you go look at effective field goal percentage, Key's on the top end of this. So it feels a little better. Now, if you give Key a little bit more room, right? So let's say instead of your field goal percentage being 39 and 34, we go to effective field goal percentage. And we say Key's effective field goal percentage in his career is at 48%. Okay? So Keyonte George effective field goal percentage so far in his career is 48.4. That's not good. But we start to look at players whose effective field goal percentage is, if we just round that up to 49, like he's 48.4, round that up to 49, we're in the ballpark. And he's not played on good teams, and he's not had a lot of great shots. We just talked about that. Here's what we suddenly have, okay? Chris Paul, Dwayne Wade, Manu Ginobili, Brandon Roy, Tony Parker, Kirk Heinrich, Derrick Rose, Darren Williams, Rajon Rondo, Chris Duhan, Gilbert Arenas, Russell Westbrook, Brandon Jennings, Ben Gordon, Bradley Beal, Tyreek Evans, Jason Richardson, Luke Ridnour, Devin Harris, Jared Jack. Now, this is all sorted by win share. And there are 165 players. And I could generally go and find, Keyonte ranks 120th in win share. And that gets a little uglier. But when we start to look at just his shooting, his 48.4%, he's 26th on this list. The 26 guys who shot a little better than him are Matthew Dellavedova, Tony Parker, Derrick Rose, Aaron Holiday, Bruce McGowan, Nick Smith Jr., Cam Thomas, Randy Foye, Brandon Roy, Mike Conley, Jonathan Simmons, Ben McLemore, Darren Williams, TJ McConnell, Rashard McCants, Monte Ellis, Jimmer Fredette, Jared Jack, Frank Jackson, Patrick McCaw, Nate Robinson, Jordan Hawkins, Jaden Ivey, Ben Gordon, Gilbert Arenas, and then right next to him is Manu Ginobili. It's not great. Like, there's a real chance that this goes wrong. But you begin to see some routes here. If we go back to the B-ball index on Keyonte, and guarded by matchup difficulty. In other words, the best defender on the other team guarding him, 87 percentile. Guarded by a premier isolation defender, 89 percentile. So Keyonte has been guarded by the best player on the other team. It's why there was a minor uptick last year when he came off the bench. So you start to look at Key, and his offensive rating on LeBron's statistic is actually an A-. His D is an F. His playmaking talent, according to B-Ball Index, is actually an A. His passing creation volume is an A. His passing efficiency is at a C-. There's a lot of things here that we're beginning to see. His teammate experience, age is an F, experience is a D, true shooting percentage is a C+, on-ball rate is, in other words, other guys who can handle, is an F, right? He hasn't played with good players yet. He's probably not playing with good players, particularly this year with this young team. So this has not been the greatest script by which for Keyonte to have massive success. But as you start to look at this, we can zero in on 3 or 4 things, and I'm going to get more into it in a second, that we can start to get, okay? One-on-one game, total isolation per 75 possessions, 92 percentile. He's been forced to play a ton of one-on-one. And is he good at it? Not really. One-on-one shot making, an F. One-on-one shot making efficiency, an F. One-on-one shooting talent, an F. Okay, that's not what he should be doing. He needs to play off the ball more, which we saw last year. He needs to get to the rim way more. We'll talk about that in a second. He needs to get better shot quality because when he's playing one-on-one and he has to take that step back 3, it's an F shot quality. His mid-range shot quality is an F. We talked about his three-point shot quality, an F. Some of this is him. Some of this is the situation he's been in. So when you start to look at him, I think you actually have a bunch of routes by which he can get better. And when you look at, I'm going to literally give you specifics here in a second. And when you look at the next aspect of Key, which is where he ranks historically, it can be looked at either of 2 ways, right? It can look at the way we looked at it just a minute ago, it can be either pretty desperately bad in that you look at those players who have shot below 40% from the field and below 34% from 3, and it's pretty ugly. There's no question. But if you spread it out a tiny bit and get into and give him the benefit of the doubt, it gets to be a little bit better. Okay. The real key, and I know his coach Chris Jones and him have been working on this, is can he move his shots around? Because the biggest problem for Keyonte George right now is that in 1/3 of his games last year, he shot 33% or below. Let me make sure you got that right. It's a stunning number. Keyonte last year played in 67 games. Okay? In 26, more than it's almost half. In 26 of the 67 games Keyonte George played last year, he shot 33% or below. It's actually 39% of his games. You're out of the league. Like, I'm not going to lie. Like, you do that, 39% of your games, you're going to be out of the league. Here's the next number on it. We didn't win a lot last year. So I'm not sticking this on Key. But in those 26 games that Keyonte George shot 33% or below, the Jazz were 1-25. 1-25. The one game we won, he only played 24 minutes. He only took 8 shots. He went 2 of 8. He was -23 in that game, and we won. It was against Minnesota. But when Key shoots 33% or below, we were 1-25. It's death to your team. Here's how he fixes it next on Locked on Jazz. The key to Keyonte fixing that is where he shoots from. So right now, if you look at Keyonte George on a given night, sorry, I just had it and it went away. A little playing with the NBA numbers is never always the easiest thing in the world. So if we look at Keyonte George on a given night, this is his 13.7 shots, and this is his general shot distribution. You know, I use every site in the world while I'm doing a show, and the one I kind of know will never, ever, ever come through for me is NBA.com. It's pretty cool. So I will have to try to do this a little differently because NBA.com just decided it didn't want to load the page I want. So Keyonte is taking 13.7 shots a game. Okay. Right now, on any given night, one shot made or missed sends him below 33% because his shot quality, not only on the type of shots, but where he's shooting from is so bad. Okay. So Keyonte right now is taking only 13% of his shots on a given night at the rim. He's taking 30% of his shots as a short floater, 6% as a mid-range, 7% as a corner three, and 43% of his shots is above the break threes. Okay, 43, that's a hard number. So the average, so the first one is, so let's call it 6 above the break threes a game. Okay. He's taking 1 corner three a game. Okay, well, the corner three is a much better shot. At 13% of his shots at the rim on 13.7 shots a game, he's taking on average 1.8 shots at the rim a game. You're going to have to trust me here in a minute. We'll call all mid-range. He takes 36% of his shots as mid-range shots. So here's the basic shot distribution of Keyonte on a given night. We're just going to round this out, make it a little easier, and get him to 14 shots. He takes 6 above the break threes. The average percentage on above the break three in the NBA is about 35%. In fact, I could give you this exactly. And he's taking 6 of them a game. And this is if Keyonte takes 14 shots. Okay, the above the break three in the NBA last year was 36%. He takes 1 corner three a game, that's 39%. He takes 5 mid-range shots. The short floater got much better last year, so that now actually this shot probably I need to, even though I didn't, I probably need to break it up. So let's call it, he takes 1 long two, and he takes 4 floaters. The 4 floaters are at 44% now, and the long two is at 41%. And he takes 2 shots a night at the rim at 66%. Okay. 12 of his 14 shots are either 39%, 36%, 44%, or 41%. He misses one of those extra, and he shoots 33%. Right? Because if he's shooting 14 shots in a night, let's just kind of take this for a second. And he takes 6 above the break. This is geeky number stuff, but hopefully you'll stick with me. If he takes 6 above the break threes and it's 36%. The chances are he's going to go 2 of 6, right? 33%, 2 of 6. That's 33. The number's 36. You with me? He takes 1 corner three. To kind of make 0.3 of those. Or we can call it 0.4. So one night he makes one, and one night he misses, and that's at 50% and overtime. But that's his one shot, okay? He takes 5 floaters. If he's shooting league average at 44%, he goes 2 for 5. That's 40%, right? And he takes 1 long two. That's supposed to go, that goes 1 every 3 nights, and he gets 2 shots at the rim, and he makes like 1 of 2 at the rim. Well, all of a sudden, we've created a Keyonte is, let's say he goes 1 of 2 at the rim. He goes 2 of 6 on his long threes. He goes 2 of 5 on his floaters. He's now 5 of 13. And now, does the long 2 go and the corner 3 go? Because if they don't, he's 5 of 15. It's literally an average, almost average night for him. One shot doesn't fall, and he goes 33%. So go back to the discussion we had at the very beginning of this on Keyonte. F in shot quality, F in getting to the rim, but A in being able to get the shots off, and A in his off the bounce. How do we slide Keyonte's shot distribution? Let's say he still gets 14 shots. Can it become 3 rim shots? Can it become 3 floaters instead of 5? Can it become 5 above the break threes and 2 corner threes? Okay, we're now at 13 shots. There's one more there. Ideally, that's another rim shot, but that's doubling your rim rate. Probably unlikely. But if he suddenly starts to do this, and now he's taking 2 corner, let's give it another corner 3. He's now taking more threes, playing off the ball a little bit. Okay, now he goes 1 or 2 of 3 on the corner threes. Now he goes 1 or 2 of 3 on the floaters. He goes 2 of 5 on the above the break threes. He goes 2 of 3 at the rim. And now all of a sudden, with that little shift, we've increased him to 16 shots a night. We could probably bring it back down a little bit, take it to 15, give him only 2 corner threes. Now all of a sudden, that's 7 of 15, or it's 6 of 15, and it's not 33% or below. Here's the other reason to be bullish on Key. There's little subtle impact changes that help too. Keyonte's turnover rate went from 16% to 13.9. So the 3 issues early were defense, shooting, and turnovers. Last year's turnovers went from 9th percentile, 16%, to 13.9, 26%. That's growth. His assist rate went from 26th percentile to 89th percentile for his position, 24 to 27%. Okay? This is the one I'm most excited about. He went from drawing shooting fouls on 10.9% to 12.4%. Very high. The foul drawing, now you start to put in the foul drawing in a little bit better shot quality, and you've got a really nice player. His rim percentage, which isn't great, went from 59% to 61%. It got a little better. We'll get better in year 3 as he's stronger and understands it. He shot 50% on corner threes last year. Give him more corner threes. Let him play off the ball. For the last 2 years, he's shot 32% on above the break threes. Not good, but they've not been good shots. That gets up to 35 or 36 because they're better shots. One of those becomes a corner 3. One of those floaters at 41% becomes a rim shot at 61%. And this little shift of maturity and understanding on his shot quality and his shot distribution, because all the skills are there and it's no longer an F in shot quality, and you've got yourself a player. And you either have yourself a really good 6-man or you have yourself an starting off guard in the NBA. I'm bullish on Keyonte George. And that is Locked on Jazz today. Hope you're having a great one. Hope you enjoyed the show. See what your thoughts are. We'll talk a little bit about some of the other stuff we saw in Summer League as the week goes on. Right now, you can follow me on all my socials at DLock09, or you can not follow me on the socials and be free of social media. It sounds awesome. Right now, we'll send you over to the first ever national 24/7 NBA channel, Locked on NBA on YouTube. Check out Locked on NBA on audio. It's there for you every day, all off season.